Before we dive into all of this, I need you to do me a massive favor right now. If you are a Blue Jays fan, if you care about this team, if you have been riding this roller coaster with us since day one, hit that subscribe button and smash that like button right now. Because what we are about to cover today is exactly the kind of chaos that this channel was built for. This is big. This is important. And if you have been sleeping on the Toronto Blue Jays news cycle these past 48 hours, you are about to get a very rude awakening. Buckle up, folks, because things have gone from electric to absolutely alarming in the blink of an eye, and we are going to break it all down for you, piece by piece, right here, right now. Let us set the scene first. The Toronto Blue Jays came into 2026 as one of the hottest teams in the American League. World Series runners-up. A loaded roster. A pitching staff that looked deep on paper. The buzz around this team was real, the hype was justified, and fans in Toronto, and all across Canada, were ready to believe that this was finally the year. The Rogers Centre has been packed to the rafters, averaging over 35,000 fans a night. The Maple Leafs are a mess, so the spotlight belongs entirely to the Blue Jays right now, and boy have they grabbed it. But here is the thing about spotlights, sometimes they reveal things you were not ready to see. And what the early weeks of the 2026 season have revealed is a pitching situation that is rapidly unraveling, one injury at a time, and one brutal roster decision at a time. We have multiple stories to get through today. We are talking about the shocking return of a pitcher who was almost on this team. We are talking about the devastating Cody Ponce injury update that has the entire Blue Jays fanbase holding its breath. We are talking about a game postponement, a potential bullpen day, the C.J. Van Eyck factor, Kevin Gausman delivering an all-time gem and somehow still losing, and a John Schneider quote that perfectly summarizes the most frustrating recurring theme of this Toronto Blue Jays era. There is a ton to unpack here, so let us get right into it. We start with the news that kind of slipped under the radar while everything else was exploding, and that is the official return of Angel Bastardo to the Boston Red Sox. Now, if you have been following this channel, you know exactly who Angel Bastardo is and why this stings. This is the pitcher the Blue Jays selected in the Rule 5 draft, knowing full well he was coming off Tommy John surgery and would miss the entire 2025 season on the injured list. That was the calculated gamble. Pay the entry fee, absorb the roster hit, keep him healthy, and hopefully enter 2026 with a fresh arm who could contribute out of the bullpen. And here is the thing. The stuff was there. Bastardo's fastball averaged 96 miles per hour in spring training and touched as high as 98. He has a changeup that evaluators genuinely believe can become a plus offering. The raw material exists. The problem is that after more than 600 days without pitching in a competitive game, the rust was very real. In 7 spring training appearances, he posted a 4.70 ERA across 7 2/3 innings, walked 7 batters, and struck out just 5. The command was nowhere to be found, and ultimately the Blue Jays had to make a decision. They chose Spencer Miles as their Rule 5 pick to keep, designated Bastardo for assignment, and every other team in baseball passed on him off the waiver wire. Not a single one of the other 28 clubs wanted to take on that Rule 5 situation. So it became official, Angel Bastardo has been returned to the Red Sox, who paid just $50,000 to get him back. To put that in perspective, the Blue Jays paid $100,000 to acquire him in the first place. Boston gets a live arm back for pocket change, and Toronto walks away with nothing. And look, the Red Sox are absolutely thrilled. Their fans were buzzing the moment the news came down. The Blue Jays, meanwhile, quietly move on, but here is why this matters so much more than it would have a week ago. Pitching depth is no longer a luxury for the Toronto Blue Jays right now. It is a survival necessity. Because the injury report for this rotation reads like something out of a horror movie. You have Bowden Francis completely done for the year after Tommy John surgery, out until 2027. You have Trey Yesavage dealing with a right shoulder impingement. You have Shane Bieber with right elbow inflammation not expected back until at least May. And you have Jose Barrios with an elbow fracture that has him behind as well. And then, the one that really hurts, you have Cody Ponce, who went down in just his first start of the season with a right ACL sprain, whose fate for the entire 2026 campaign now hangs in the balance. In that kind of environment, losing Angel Bastardo, even an imperfect, rusty Angel Bastardo, matters. He was an arm. He was a body. He was depth. And in a world where Mason Ford is already grinding through multiple appearances in a matter of days, where Spencer Miles is being asked to operate in higher leverage roles than anyone imagined this early, and where the bullpen is going to be leaned on harder than ever to cover innings, that depth was precious. Instead, the Blue Jays have Bastardo's 96-mile-per-hour fastball warming up somewhere for the Red Sox organization now. That is not a great feeling for anyone in Toronto. But the decision was made, and now we live with the consequences. Which brings us, inevitably, to the Cody Ponce situation, and this one is genuinely scary, folks. If you missed the play, Ponce was in the third inning of his very first major league start since 2021. Remember, this is a guy who signed a 3-year, $30 million deal with Toronto back in December. He spent the past 4 seasons playing in Japan and South Korea, going 17-1 with a 1.89 ERA and 252 strikeouts in 2025 alone. He was supposed to be a cornerstone of this rotation. And then, in the third inning against the Colorado Rockies, he went to field a soft ground ball off the bat of Jake McCarthy, lunged, and immediately crumpled to the ground. He was carted off the field. The stadium went dead silent. And the Blue Jays, who went on to lose that game 14-5, suddenly had a much bigger problem than one bad performance. The diagnosis confirmed what many feared, a sprained anterior cruciate ligament in his right knee. Manager John Schneider has made it very clear that Ponce is going to miss significant time, with limited hope that he will pitch again this season. The word sprain rather than tear gives you a tiny sliver of hope, but the optimistic scenario requires everything to go right. The realistic scenario is potentially much grimmer. Ponce has been placed on the injured list, with Lazaro Estrada recalled from AAA Buffalo in a corresponding move. But here is the update that has everyone holding their breath. Ponce is traveling to Los Angeles to meet with orthopedic surgeon Dr. Neil ElAttrache next Monday. Manager John Schneider confirmed that surgery is genuinely on the table, saying they want ElAttrache to review all the MRIs, examine Ponce in person, and decide what route to take. If ACL reconstruction surgery is required, the minimum recovery time is 9 months. In the most brutal terms possible, Cody Ponce's 2026 season could already be over before it truly began. This is a gut punch. A $30 million arm, the guy they brought back from Asia with enormous expectations, gone potentially for the year in his debut. And this would all be painful enough on its own, but stacked on top of every other injury we already mentioned, it transforms from painful to genuinely alarming. The healthy starters, Gausman, Cease, Scherzer, and Lauer, have been absolutely elite. Through 5 combined starts, those 4 posted a 1.57 ERA with 46 strikeouts across nearly 29 innings. When those guys take the ball, this team wins. But you only get 4 of those starts in a turn through the rotation, and the 5th spot is now a very, very real problem. So what are the options? Well, there is Lazaro Estrada, already up from AAA, though his numbers across 2 outings have not been pretty. There is Adam Macko, who the organization wants to keep developing at the minor league level. And then there is the name that has generated the most excitement among the prospect crowd, CJ Vanek. Now, CJ Vanek is someone this channel has been talking about since its earliest days. A longtime Blue Jays prospect, once a top 10 guy in the system, he has dealt with his share of adversity and setbacks over the years. But in his AAA debut this week with the Buffalo Bisons, he went 4 innings, struck out 5, issued just 1 walk, and allowed 1 earned run. That is a very encouraging line. He threw strikes, he showed the stuff, and John Schneider himself has mentioned Vanek's name alongside Estrada, Macko, and Chad Dallas as candidates to fill Ponce's rotation spot going forward. If you are asking me, and I know you are going to let me know in the comments, I want CJ Vanek getting a shot. He has been in this organization for years, he has earned it, and he came out and looked sharp in his first AAA start. Give the man the ball. Give the fans something to be excited about during what is otherwise a very stressful stretch. A bullpen game is another option being floated, and while guys like Tyler Rogers and Louis Varland could piece together innings, Burning the bullpen this early in April is a move that has bitten this team before. They have done it in previous seasons and paid for it down the stretch. You do not want to be papering over rotation holes with bullpen days in the first week of April. That is not a sustainable strategy, and this coaching staff knows that better than anyone. Thursday's scheduled game against the Chicago White Sox, their home opener at Guaranteed Rate Field, has been pushed back to Friday due to inclement weather. The Blue Jays will now play Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern, which was supposed to be an off day. That schedule shuffle gives the coaching staff one more day to breathe, one more day to make decisions on Sunday's starting assignment, and one more day to hope that the injury gods stop spinning the wheel. Because right now, that will keeps landing on terrible news. Sunday remains the big question mark. The scenario that makes the most sense is to use a bullpen day or call up a young arm like Van Eyck for Sunday in Chicago, then line up Scherzer, Gausman, and Cease for the 3-game series against the Dodgers the following week. And let us talk about that Dodgers series for a second, because it is not just any series. This is a World Series rematch. The Blue Jays lost to Los Angeles in 7 games in 2025, and the rematch is coming to Rogers Center April 6 through 8. The building is going to be absolutely electric. You want Scherzer, Gausman, and Cease ready and in order for that. So whatever happens Sunday, you protect the big 3 for the marquee series. That is the only smart play. Now let us shift gears and talk about the game that still stings, the loss to the Colorado Rockies that closed out the series and sent the Blue Jays home with a 2-1 series defeat against a team they absolutely should have handled. Losing a series to the Colorado Rockies in 2026 is painful. There is no way to sugarcoat it. Baseball is baseball and any team can win on any given day, but when you are the reigning American League champions and you drop a series at home to Colorado, that demands honest reflection. And the most gut-wrenching part? Kevin Gausman was absolutely, historically, jaw-droppingly dominant. He went 6 innings, allowed just 2 hits, walked nobody, literally 0 walks, and struck out 10 batters. He took a perfect game into the 4th inning before finally surrendering a hit to Ezequiel Tovar in an 11-pitch at-bat. In his 2 starts this season, Gausman has now struck out 21 batters without issuing a single walk, making him the first pitcher since at least 1900 to record 10 or more strikeouts with 0 walks in each of his first 2 starts of a season. He set a Blue Jays franchise record with 11 strikeouts on opening day, then backed it up with 10 more 5 days later. The man is operating in another dimension entirely right now. And he lost. Reliever Brendan Little allowed the game-winning RBI single in the 10th inning from Colorado pinch hitter Tyler Freeman, wasting a performance in which Gausman had retired his first 12 batters and exited with 0 runs, 2 hits, no walks, and 10 strikeouts. John Schneider's post-game comments said it all. Feel like we have done that to Kev for a while? When you get a starting performance like that, you want to win. That is a painful statement because it is not new. This is a recurring problem with this offense. They had runners on base, they left them there. They had chances to break the game open, and the bats went ice cold. For a lineup that was supposed to be one of the best contact groups in the game entering this season, stranding runners in scoring position this consistently is not a great look, even if it is only 6 games in. The good news, and there is genuine good news here, is that the overall record sits at 4-2. 6 games is nothing. The sky is not falling, the season is not lost, and one Rocky series is not going to define this year. The Yankees are 5-1 right now but have played a significantly tougher schedule. The AL East is going to be a dogfight all year long, and the Blue Jays have the firepower to compete. But the pattern of leaving Gausman out there to throw masterpieces while the offense naps has to be addressed. At some point, the lineup has to show up. Because right now the healthy starters are carrying this team on their backs, and they deserve better than a bullpen that coughs up leads and an offense that cannot cash in with runners in scoring position. The broader picture, though, is not hopeless. Not even close. Trey Yesevich is scheduled to throw a sim game this week with roughly 3 innings and 45 pitches, and John Schneider has been very encouraged by his recent progress. Shane Bieber is scheduled to throw off a mound for the first time in early April, beginning his ramp-up process toward a potential May return. Jose Berrios is also working toward getting back. The cavalry is coming. The question is whether this team can tread water and hold things together long enough for the reinforcements to arrive. And based on what Gausman, Cease, Scherzer, and Lauer have shown us through the first homestand, the answer just might be yes. This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball in the year 2026. Electrifying 1 minute, terrifying the next. A historically dominant performance from your ace going completely unrewarded. A $30 million arm crumpled on the Rogers center turf in his debut. Prospects from the pipeline suddenly thrust into the spotlight ahead of schedule. A White Sox game postponed, a World Series rematch incoming, and about 15 decisions that need to be made yesterday. It is chaotic, it is stressful, and it is absolutely must-watch content. And that is exactly why you need to stay locked into this channel every single day. We are going to be covering every move, every injury update, every roster decision, and every moment of this wild season in real time. When the Ella Trash evaluation comes back on Ponce, we will be here. When the Sunday starter is announced, we will be here. When CJ Van Eyck takes the mound for the Blue Jays for the first time, and I genuinely believe that day is coming very, very soon, we will break it down for you first. So if you are not subscribed yet, fix that right now. Drop a comment below telling me what you think. Van Eyck call-up or bullpen day on Sunday? Is the Gausman extension a done deal in your mind? And where do you land on Cody Ponce? Any realistic path back this season? Or is 2026 effectively over for him? Let me know down below because this community is incredible and I read every single one. Like the video if it brought you value, share it with a fellow Jays fan who needs to be caught up, and we will see you in the next one. Let us go Blue Jays.